I feel bad we didn't get to put Donnie's guys in at all, but I'm sorry, Donnie. I don't think they're actually going in the first round.
Hey, man, listen. Christian Watson is going to become the greatest receiver of all time on Kansas City, okay?
Welcome to the final episode of Boomer Russell Draft Show. Before the 2022 NFL Draft, I realized in my head while I was saying that sounded like we're just done after, but this is before the draft. We'll do some videos, I promise, after the 2022 NFL Draft and preview the 2023 NFL Draft because we are that sick in the head that we need to immediately start evaluating for future years. But one final video, and we figured what better than to do a mock draft, and not just any mock draft, because I understand so many of you in the comments hate our picks because we make the same picks every time because the guys that we love, and you say there's no way my team would do this. This is the first mock draft that we are predicting because the NFL draft is tomorrow night, and we've got a lot of reports that we've been reading up on, and we're going to predict what happens in the 2022 NFL draft, including trades. We have trades in this mock draft as well. So this is what we think will happen. Not what we would do, what we think will happen tomorrow night in the 2022 NFL Draft. Before we start the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Be sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Boom or Bust Draft. Obviously, we're on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast, so like and subscribe below. And this mock draft episode is presented by WinView. The best thing to happen to sports is fantasy. You better get WinView, man, because tomorrow night, the NFL draft's going to be going on. You're going to want to place some prop bets all over the place. If you've been watching our show, hopefully you're well prepared for the NFL draft, and you might have a leg up on Vegas. And maybe you can make some cheddar during the NFL draft, which could help you if your team makes a pick that you just don't love. So maybe it'll make you feel a little bit better if you have a little money in your back pocket. But WinView is a new way to bet on sports because gone are the days where all you can bet on were spreads, over-unders, money lines, the player props, all the boring stuff. WinView lets you bet on singular events live during games, like will the Cowboys score a touchdown? Will this at-bat be a strikeout? Will James Harden make this free throw? You can make all these bets and more with the WinView app. Play for free for fun or enter cash prize contests against other users. All you have to do is answer props before and during the game. And all you have to do to sign up is just click on the link in our description or in our pinned comment and become a new part of the way to bet on sports today with WinView. So click on that link in our description or pinned comment. All right, let's start our top of the mock draft with the number one overall pick, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And every mock draft that we've had since November has had Aiden Hutchinson at number one overall. This is the first one that is not happening. Trayvon Walker, the Georgia edge defender, the freaky athlete, the 99.9 percentile athlete, tied with Myles Garrett, he will be the first overall pick, and he's now the favorite to be the first overall pick. We obviously don't love it that much. We have him, I think, 24th on our consensus big board. This is going to be the pick, and, we're not fans of it. I obviously know that Trayvon Walker, the scheme kind of limited him a little bit, but this is the most projection that I've ever seen for a first overall pick because you honestly just don't know with this guy. And it's taking that guy at first overall. I don't understand it. I think the conspiracy theory of Balky trying to get back at Harbaugh because they didn't like each other during their time in San Francisco together, that could be true here. And take the guy that was on the team that blew out Harbaugh by 30. Like, that could be another reason. So, I don't know. I don't think that personal relationship.
Can I just make... Sorry, I just really thought of it. You finished your point. I just had an amazing thought, though.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand. I don't understand Trayvon Walker first of all, but it's gonna happen.
I had this light bulb image in my head that felt very similar to something, and I just realized what it is without revealing any political opinions because we've had elections in our life that have gone both ways. You know that feeling when you voted for someone and you early on see the returns and you're like, oh, they're probably going to lose, and you just watch it happen slowly. It kind of felt like with Trayvon Walker, you heard oh, he's going to be the number one pick, maybe, possibly early on, and there's a slight chance. And you just felt at that moment, you're like, oh man, this is slowly going to happen, isn't it? It's going to eventually be a thing. That's what it felt like to me, at least personally.
Yes, one thing where it comes out of nowhere. I remember waking up that next morning, Nick, and be like, what just happened? Yeah. You can read between the tea leaves on that one for a lot of people, I'm sure. But yeah, Trayvon Walker, ever since the combine, who's again a freaky athlete, but only 1% better than Aiden Hutchinson. Like that, is that enough to take him first overall over Aiden Hutchinson?
Of course
I don't
it
think
is,
so.
Max. Of course it is.
He was the 13th highest graded Georgia defensive player. So on that all-time defense, you just take the best 11 and play them. He's not on the field. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. But Trayvon Walker, I get it's an upside pick, but oh boy. Jacksonville, you better hit on this one, or Trent Baalke, you are probably trying to, put some resumes out there for another job very soon.
Yeah, it's wild. Lions at 2. We've kind of been saying this for a while too. If it ends up being Walker, that the local kid just makes too much sense. Aiden Hutchinson's right there. It makes too much sense for that fan base to go grab him, bring him as number 2 pick. And you rarely kind of say this, but it's a steal at number 2, right? Like this is the guy's just there that you were hoping would be there. You didn't expect it for months. They were, vetting all these other guys and hoping that, maybe they'd take Hamilton, maybe it's Blake Willis, maybe there was some Ekwonu buzz for a little bit there. Maybe it's, some other edge player, maybe it's a corner, maybe it's a receiver. We went all over the place with that pick. Maybe it was Trayvon Walker, and now it seems like if Walker's actually going to pick, that Aiden Hutchinson's just going to land in the Lions' lap, and they might not have to think about it very much.
You want to give out the report that we've been hearing, though, a little bit, some inside sources?
Yeah, we can do that. From inside sources are saying that GM Brad Holmes is we kind of knew this already, is a big fan of Kayvon Thibodeau, and the rest of the building isn't. And sometimes you see this thing where the GM will just kind of lock his doors, push everyone out because he's got his guy. He doesn't want anyone to have any input, and it's kind of selfish, to be honest with you. But it happens. It's not an uncommon thing. So there is an outside chance we think that even if Hutchinson's on the board, that there might be a forced Kayvon pick here too. But I personally it's way better than taking Trayvon Walker at 1.
No,
much better
for sure. I understand Kayvon at 2 over Hutchinson. I understand Kayvon at 1 over Hutchinson.
I'd understand Kayvon at 1.
Yeah.
I would understand Hamilton at 1 over Trayvon Walker.
Yep.
Yeah, I get behind it.
What are we doing? Honestly, and I think there's a couple of receivers I'd rather have than Trayvon Walker.
If you needed any reason to watch Nick and Donnie during the live draft show, it is for that first overall pick, because it will be must-see television or must-see on YouTube.
I mean, neither of us will be alive.
Yeah, watch, forget it. Watch.
They'll be taking shots on air. All right, this is how we're doing it. Let's get as drunk as this draft is.
We're gonna be fired up.
Yeah.
All right, Donnie at number 3.
Yep, alrighty. So Texans at 3. We've all known the report by now how Lovie Smith wants to possibly snack a corner. Maybe they like sauce there. At the end of the day, we think that they could possibly get a corner at 13. So we're going to take a position of need and a position of value also. Akeem Ekwonu, the tackle, guard, wherever they play him, I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine in either position. If you throw him at guard, I mean, sure, why not? Titus Howard can be a good tackle. He's probably better at tackle than he is at guard. And then obviously you have Laramie Tunsil already. You got to get Davis Mills some protection. And also he has a big time run game for you. Just run behind him and he's just going to open up holes for you. He's probably one of the best run blockers we've seen in a long time in the draft, not including Penei Sewell probably, but not including him, probably one of the best we've seen in a long time. So
yeah,
Akeem Ekwonu here, my offensive tackle 1, I would take him here, and I'm happy it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I understand it. All right, Jets at 4 here. We debated this pick for a minute, and
yeah, we did.
Nick was really pushing for Jermaine Johnson, and I understand it, and I think there's a legit chance they take Jermaine Johnson. There has been a lot of reports linking them with Johnson, but we went with another edge defender just because I think Donnie and I were both I just can't see 3 guys going over him at that position, and it's Kayvon Thibodeau, the edge defender from Oregon, who Nick mentioned, I mean, is a legit argument for number 2, and Nick made a legit argument for number 3, and it's this guy can go anywhere from 2 to 4, even lower than that, honestly.
Wherever, literally, yeah.
Yeah, Justin Fields. Remember last year, Justin Fields, I was he can go 3, or he ended up falling at 11. It's I don't know what's happening. Kayvon Thibodeau, I really do believe, is the Justin Fields, because I feel the character concerns that all of us think are BS. But obviously some teams are scared of Justin Fields for probably that reason, which is why he fell out of the top 10 when we all had him as a top 2 player in last year's draft. And Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, is very similar, where he's literally our number 2 prospect again. It's literally the parallels are crazy with Justin Fields. And I think he might fall, but I think The Jets at 4. Robert Saleh is a very smart man, very smart defensive coach. They need another edge defender opposite Carl Lawson. Kayvon Thibodeau is who I would expect to be the pick if he's off the board, if he's on the board, by pick 4.
Pick number 5, I think, gives us our first real interesting reporting thing that's going on this week with Evan Neal with the Giants. And there were some reports earlier that some teams had flunked Evan Neal for medical testing. And then today, Ian Rappaport came out and said, and maybe I shouldn't say that because it's revealing when we're recording this, but Ian Rappaport came out and said that that those reports were not necessarily true, that a lot of teams had not medically flunked him. To me, though, it still seems like there probably are teams out there that have dropped him on their boards. And quite frankly, my thing with Evan Neal is we just really haven't heard a whole lot of this. Team X, GM X, Coach X is in love with Evan Neal. There was that Jacksonville buzz for a while, and even that, it seemed like it liked the Kwanu more. We really haven't heard any linking to Evan Neal at all. I have no idea where that guy's gonna go. And one thing I do know that we've heard now from Peter Schrager multiple times, and now Peter King the other day, is that the Giants really like Charles Cross. And I think, quite frankly, he's my tackle 1 on the board. So I know there are people in this world that like Charles Cross more than Evan Neal. I think he's a safer pick for a team that really needs to hit on that pick if they take an offensive lineman. We have mocked Charles Cross here at pick 5 of the Giants because we believe that is the guy that they will lean towards ultimately if they do go tackle here.
If Dave Gettleman was a GM, they would take Evan Neal, but he's no longer the GM.
That is also true. I mean, at worst, you're getting Jake Matthews. At worst,
that's my comp for him. Yeah, that's my comp for him.
Yeah, at worst, that's what you're getting.
Yeah, take that. That's what you look for.
Good tackle, and I think he could possibly be better than that. I'm not saying he could be a top 5 tackle in the league.
He can play right tackle. For everyone's like, oh, he's a left tackle. No, he can play right tackle with Andrew Thomas there. Yeah.
It's a tackle is a tackle, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
left and right is very overrated for a lot of people.
Yes, I agree.
Kwanu's probably playing.
Remember the whole Tristan Wirfs is overrated thing because he was only a right tackle. Yeah. And now look at it. He's the freaking best right tackle in the league. That was unreal. Yep. Yeah. Alrighty, Panthers here at 6. With some late reports that possibly they're looking to trade down. We thought maybe with a team who needs a quarterback, but there was an actual report that came out not long ago saying they possibly looking to trade down with maybe the Eagles or the Cardinals to trade up for Jameson Williams. At the end of the day, I believe it's a smokescreen. I think we can get a wide receiver at 23, and I don't think, unless the Eagles offer something massive, I don't really think they're going to be able to trade up because I think the Panthers might be asking for too much because they know they're a bad football team. So I think they're going to rock here with Kenny Pickett. You got to get a quarterback. You just got to – Matt Rule is coaching for his life, man. You just got to give him a chance. And listen, I know people don't like Pickett. Would you rather have Pickett or Darnold? Just answer me that.
I think they're the same player. I think Pickett. I'd rather Pickett, obviously.
No, they're not.
I'd rather Pickett's Darnold's my comp for Pickett.
That's mean. I gave him Drew Lock, and that's mean.
I don't know. I'm a little scared. The connection between him and Matt Rule is undeniable, though. He recruited him when he was at Temple, and I think he prefers him over Malik Willis because, like you said, Donnie, he's got to keep his job. Malik Willis is a guy who, his rookie year might get you fired, especially in Carolina. Kenny Pickett's a guy who's, probably going to be good enough. I think he will be better than Sam Darnold. I know this is my comp, not how I think he'll play. But I think he'll be just enough for Matt Rule to keep his job, which is honestly the only thing he's probably worried about right now. Yeah. Okay, 7 here. Was the Giants, no longer the Giants. It is actually the Pittsburgh Steelers jumping from 20 to 7 because they saw Kenny Pickett went off the board, and they have been in love with this guy Malik Willis. So the trade that we had for them was – according to the PFF mock draft simulator, this is what a kind of fair trade would be. This is still leaning towards the Giants in terms of value. So the Giants are getting a little bit of a better deal here. But when you're moving up for a quarterback in Malik Willis, it's worth it. The Steelers gave up the 20th overall pick, a second-round pick in next year's draft, a third-round pick in next year's draft, a third-round pick in the 2024 draft, and a fourth-round pick in the 2024 draft. And that is, again, leaning towards the Giants a little bit, but still a decent enough trade. The Steelers grabbed Malik Willis, and last year, we say it over and over again, the 3 picks in last year's draft that I was most sure of was Trevor Lawrence to the Jaguars, Zach Wilson to the Jets, and Najee Harris at 24 to the Steelers. So the top 2 picks I was sure of, and then I was sure of 24 because the Steelers just made it known that they love Najee Harris. This is, again, another pick where I'm like, I know they love Malik Willis. And Kevin Colbert, the GM who is retiring after this draft, you could pull an Ozzie Newsome with the Ravens, where Ozzie Newsome, when he was retiring, he did one last draft. he took Lamar Jackson. I think Kevin Colbert would want to have one more quarterback and say, you know what? I drafted the next franchise quarterback for the Steelers after Ben Roethlisberger. I really believe that they're not going to roll into next year with just Mr. Trubisky. They're going to want to get Malik Willis, and I know for a fact Mike Tomlin is in love with that guy. So I think they're going to try to trade up to 7, and it makes sense for the Giants because they can barely afford their rookie class right now as it stands. So they might want to move back and get capital for next year and the year after that. So get ahead of the Falcons and Seahawks, who might need a quarterback, and the Giants, I think, are a very obvious trade-down team. So I think this is a good scenario for both teams here.
And I think the Steelers, and I'm proud of Max for being confident in this because I was not last year with Washington trading up for Justin Fields. Not that it didn't matter because they obviously didn't, and they looked into it but didn't. Max knows his team well. The Steelers are just extremely organized, and if someone has a conviction, they're going to listen to them because they trust everyone in that building. Mike Tomlin has been excellent from the moment he entered the league. And he's obviously like a very passionate leader. And when he has conviction in something, he is going to let the organization know, and they're going to trust him. And I don't honestly think he makes calls too many shots in drafts. This year, he is most certainly calling on Malik Willis, and I have long believed as well that this is if he really pushes for them to go get Malik Willis, it's going to happen. And I think that they. Just the fact that they're able to reveal that they're going to draft every year and still get them it just shows how they operate.
It's hilarious.
And also, like, you gotta take this risk if you're Pittsburgh. You're in a division with Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and some unnamed quarterback from the Browns. You're in a division with those 3 guys. I had to do it. You're in a division with those 3 guys. You got to take a shot with a quarterback, or else you are never going to have anything in this division for years. You got to take a shot.
Yeah, and that's Nick, that's a good point. I was just going to bring that up. Like I said before, like, I think we all will know how Malik Willis will be in the NFL, whether or not he'll be a boom or a bust. And I know it's weird to say that just based off the draft, just because like we see so many guys where it's like, if he goes to the Steelers, I'm all in. If he goes to the Panthers, yikes, like it might not be good. So I think the Steelers are a situation where, he's got that sky high ceiling. I could see him hitting it, and this could be a slam dunk pick for the Steelers here at 7.
Pick number 8 is the Falcons. This is one that we just, we don't know.
Idea what's going to happen. We're not confident in any of this. Let's just talk about this for a second. Are we confident in any of these picks, you guys? Because I'm not.
No.
I think
I'm not confident in any of the
first 6, we had some little discussions. I don't feel terrible about the first 6. But last year, I famously predicted the first 7 picks live in the draft correctly.
Yep.
That's not happening this year. I'm just telling you. Please. It's not happening.
Nick's going 32 for 32.
Yeah, no way. No, it's not doing any Malort shots.
Go buy a lottery ticket if you do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish. So we kind of settled on. So the report is they're taking the best player available because they obviously need talent, which I think a lot of people believe if Malik Willis is there that they would take him, which is why we had the Steelers trading up. We settled on receiver. There's a lot of reports that Jameson Williams now is a guy who's probably going to go top 10. I think that the Jets-Falcons picks are going to be Jameson Williams and Drake London. And so that was a discussion we had. It's who's going where. Ultimately, I got overruled. I thought this pick would be London, but we're going to take Jameson Williams with pick 8. He's Deshaun Jackson, and I think that's extremely intriguing. You don't see many guys like that. I think he is, quite frankly, better than Henry Ruggs coming out, who is a similar type player. I think he can do a lot more as a playmaker, and he's a type of player that gives you kind of an extremely high ceiling in a passing offense that hasn't quite figured out their quarterback situation yet, but also with Marcus Mariota, if he isn't a deep ball guy, this is also a dude who can take short passes and go the distance. He's more Jalen Waddle maybe than Ruggs, honestly, but he's not quite that. But this is a guy that I think the medicals have checked out. I think people overreact to ACLs these days. I think players, medical science and players have gotten, first of all, they're just better athletes. Second of all, people know what to do and how to deal with these injuries. There's been so many of them. He is going to be ready to go, I think, at some point this year, and should be a difference maker regardless of where he is.
Agreed. Up next is the Seattle Seahawks, and unfortunately, they'll be taking Sauce Gardner. It hurts me as a Cardinals fan, and it terrifies me because Sauce is probably maybe the best player to scheme fit out of any player mocked to a team in this video. I mean, this scheme fit is such a slam dunk. Seattle's always loved big physical corners, and that's what Sauce is. He's not Richard Sherman, thank you, Max, but he is probably similar size to him and similar frame and all that stuff. Sauce is great. He's produced every year of his career, and he's gotten better every year. It hurts, but if they take Tyler Linderbaum, I think that might hurt me worse. But yeah, Sauce here at 9 to Seattle.
It was tough because I don't know where he goes before this, but like I don't think he even gets to 9, honestly, when the actual draft rolls around. I guess this guy can go as high as 3, honestly. All right, number 10 here. So Nick alluded to it. The Jets take Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. I originally voted for Garrett Wilson, but when I thought about it more, I think Nick and Donnie both hit the nail on the head here, where the Jets they needed X. They need a true X wide receiver, and that's what Drake London is. Like, Garrett Wilson will be just like another kind of version of like a Elijah Moore or Corey Davis, which like you've had 3 of those, which is still great, but like I feel like you need a bigger receiver that's gonna be a true X wide receiver. I think that will be Drake London, and I think Zach Wilson would love a guy that can go up and get it for him when he's not maybe as accurate on some passes. I think Drake London will be that guy, your possession receiver that Zach Wilson desperately needs in that offense. I think he's the true X that the Jets need.
And also, I just real quick, Nick. I just want to say this: the Wilson to Wilson connection would be electric, but it's got to be Drake London. It's got to be. It's what they need.
Yeah, and I think it's a good matchup with his physicality allows him to separate within five. We talked about his separation problems, quote unquote. It's not like a problem. It's just that his separation is normally like close to the ball. Zach Wilson's issue last year was his inability to kind of hit those passes in intermediate and short routes. This is a guy that opens up more in terms of that. So let's move to the Commanders, everyone's favorite football team. So I'm considering 3 people here, and I've been listening a lot on Twitter. I don't really tweet as much as I used to, but I'm still looking out, watching people tweet, getting information, reading as much as I can. And I think it would be down to Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Kyle Hamilton. And ultimately, I think it would be down to Chris Olave and Kyle Hamilton. Actually, there's a Ron Rivera story about how he was at a pro day. He talks about 2 players at the same position on the team that are both very high draft picks. One is supposed to be better than the other. And he's like, well, one of these guys was like hustling back to the huddle, running laps after every drill, had a great attitude. The other guy was like a good player, but just wasn't, giving the same type of like off-field personality and energy the other guy was. And I'm almost certain he was talking, I know other Washington fans know what I'm talking about, that he was talking about Chris Olave versus Garrett Wilson. And of course, Ron Rivera loves the personality thing. He probably sees Terry McLaurin in Chris Olave. If it were me, I would take Kyle Hamilton here, but I won't complain if it's a receiver. If this is the worst case scenario, which, I'm not going to say that because I know this team really well, but I will be okay with it. And we're going to take Chris Olave at pick 11 over Wilson. Wilson is my receiver 1, but I do think Olave has a nice ceiling as a receiver 2, and they just need more weapons, quite frankly. If they believe that he's the guy who fits, sure, let's do it.
Not Jamin Davis. As long as it's not Jamin Davis, we're good.
Please
win.
Donnie, you're up.
Yep, I'm up. So Vikings here at 12. I feel like this has been one of the most commonly mocked things on a team, like one of the most commonly mocked prospects to a team, and that's Derek Stingley Jr. to the Vikings. This is a slam dunk fit, and you have his comparison on that team as well, who can teach him the ways. Patrick Peterson, also another LSU corner. Derek Stingley, we've been talking about for the longest time. I won't go crazy about it. Like he's the best corner in the draft. Like what he did as a freshman, we've never seen before. He's probably one of the most athletic. You already know all this stuff. Derek Stingley of the Vikings is a slam dunk fit, and this might be, as of right now, the best value pick of the draft.
Yeah, I asked. Go ahead, Nick.
Stealing those LSU players all the time now.
Oh my God! Yeah, I would think about that. That's a good point.
Oh gosh, Justin Jefferson. Oh, that actually might steal the pick. I didn't even think about that.
Hey, no one can watch college except for Stingley in practice. So
just like, hey, listen, this kid right here, Stingley, I could beat anybody in the country except that guy.
Yeah. That's another one. There's a few picks that we have that I think they're going way higher. I just don't know where. Stingley, I think, could legit be a top pick in this draft, and we'll see. But 12, I think, here is an absolute floor. 13, another absolute floor in my opinion. But somewhere I think he actually might end up is Kyle Hamilton and the Notre Dame safety going to the Texans here. So the Texans took Ikem Ekwonu. Don't think they'll double up on defense again. So I think they're on offense, excuse me. I think they're going to go with Kyle Hamilton here, who is the best player on the board. And I think the Texans are just in a position where if you look at the PFF mock draft simulator where it says team needs, it says every position. When you haven't needed,
mean.
When you,
That's so mean.
It's true. When you haven't needed every position, take the best player available. And Kyle Hamilton is our number 4 player on our big board at 13 here. Yes, that's what you need. That's just get crazy value. So Ikem Ekwonu and Kyle Hamilton, like if I'm a Texas fan, it's hard to get too excited as a Texans fan. You should be pretty excited after day 1 of the NFL draft. That's what happens.
Yep. Would be nice. Ravens at 14. I killed Donnie. The Ravens at 14. We gave Jordan Davis, which is one that's been mocked pretty commonly. I don't think there's much to really talk about. I will go into something in a second, but they run a multiple front. They could find a way to use him that's probably going to maximize his potential better than the other team that in this league, quite frankly. So they're probably going to be looking at that and they're going to be excited about it. I will say we discussed, well, not as much discussed. I've talked about how the Eagles like Jamison Williams in the past. They might be trading up for him now. We'll see. I'm a little as well connected as I am with the Commanders. I live in Philly now. I'm pretty well connected to the Eagles too, actually. And I will tell you that I think that they are going to try and hop the Ravens to get Jordan Davis. And the trade that I was considering was having them move up with Minnesota, who not only traded back last year, but now they have not former worker, and I don't know if that's true or not, analytics guy as their GM, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. He will, if they can get an opportunity to trade back, I guarantee you they'll take it, even if it's not, the exact price. I think if the Eagles send them like a 4th round pick, they might do it, just because they know the value of picks there, and probably more than any other team, considering who's their general manager there in Minnesota. But we ultimately went and said, oh, well, if Derek Stingley's there, though, like, they might just take Stingley, which I kind of agree with. So we ultimately didn't go with that, but I think it's a possibility and something to keep in mind if Stingley's not there on draft night. For now, though, Jordan Davis to Baltimore.
Yeah, and Stingley is not going to be there on draft night. I'm pretty sure based on all the reports that are coming out, but I agree. That trade could definitely happen then. That'll be one to keep an eye out for.
Agreed. Alrighty. Well, back to the Eagles here at 15. Thought about a wide receiver, but it's been everywhere at this point. I think we all kind of know. It seems like Treylon Burks is going to fall. And I mean, it makes sense. A wide receiver falls every year. In 2020, we had CeeDee Lamb. And in last year, we had Bateman fall all the way to 27, which we all thought was a joke.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a joke. So we think it's going to continue to happen. I've always had the phrase, you can never have too many pass rushers. And I think Philly agrees. I think they're going to take Jermaine Johnson. Do I think it's going to fall this far? I really don't think so, but they need an edge rusher. You got to go get one. You do have some nice guys I like, but nothing I really love. I like Hassan Reddick. I don't love him. I like Derek Burnett. I don't love him. Like, you got to go get a true guy who can just be a dominant force, especially when you're playing in a division with some offensive lines that are improving, to say the least. Washington's offensive line is improving. The Giants' line will improve after the draft. And yeah, the Cowboys got worse, but they'll probably draft an offensive lineman later in this draft. So probably not back to normal, but it'll still be good. It's the Cowboys. They always have a decent offensive line. So you got to go get an edge rusher, and I think they take Jermaine Johnson now.
Yeah, another guy who I don't think is going that low, but again, it's just tough. It was tough being like, where does he fit in this?
Somebody's got to fall. Probably more than one person.
Yeah,
probably
honestly.
multiple guys to fall.
Yeah.
And speaking of, we have a couple guys coming up that I didn't know. Evan Neal at 16. People were like, where the heck is Evan Neal? He comes on the board here at 16, and the Saints. I've heard rumors that they might trade up to get a tackle, and if they see Evan Neal is tumbling, they might be like, screw it, we have to go get him. Now there were reports that were quickly refuted that Evan Neal's got bad medicals, and those reports turned out to be not true. But maybe some teams have that. Maybe some teams, don't think his medicals are all that great. I don't think those
are the Saints trying to get in the fall here.
Yeah, honestly.
And also another thing real quick, sorry for interrupting you, but just another thing. Outside of Seattle, what team are we confident will take Evan Neal? Because my answer is none of them. Like, maybe Baltimore,
Giants, but
maybe
Texans if they go defense at 3. That's where I think.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm saying in this mock draft that we
No, yeah, Baltimore I can see, but like
that's the only team. Like, the Commanders won't. The Jets probably not. I don't think so. I think you got to get a weapon. I think you got to get. I think you got to get a weapon.
I agree.
The Vikings won't. The Texans won't. The Ravens maybe, and the Eagles won't. Like,
yeah, I agree. No, I could see a team try to hop the Saints though. So maybe the Saints get a little squeamish.
Yes.
We got to go. We got to go get them.
Well, and it's reported the Saints, and I'm not shocked by this at all, could be also looking to move up with their picks for a tackle in particular. So it could be them hopping people for no reason to go get a tackle.
No, as I said, yeah, I think Charles Cross has been a guy linked to them a lot, but Evan Neal is like in that big three, and if he's here at 16, I don't think he will be, but if he's here, like this is a sprint to Cardinals situation for the New Orleans Saints. So I think it's a slam dunk pick.
Yep, I agree. Oh, your turn. Not my turn.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, we got another sprint to Cardinals situation. Garrett Wilson's falling. And it's really because Washington prefers Chris Olave over Garrett Wilson, which I'm not upset about at all, quite frankly. Garrett Wilson, he's really good. He's on wide receiver 1, and he's a top 10 player on our board. And the Chargers, I think they have more than just receiver needs, but this guy is far and away the top player on the board. And pairing him with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Justin Herbert is just,
yeah.
Someone say Super Bowl, like, oh my god, like, let's go. Like,
that would be hot. That would be. Herbert will win MVP next year. Place all your Herbert MVP bets now before they get Garrett Wilson on Thursday.
All you'd have to worry about is just Storm Norton, and then that's it. That's
dude,
it. And then
second round, we'll find somebody. Maybe
we'll find someone.
Maybe. Anyone's better than Storm Norton.
Figure it out.
I'll agree on that. Yeah, we'll figure something out. Alrighty, back up with the Eagles at 18. They need corner, and they passed on one earlier. We debated for a good while between two corners, one who I think might fall in the draft, another who I think is going to be riser in the draft. The riser, I think, could be Booth, and the faller could be McDuffie. Apparently, a lot of teams like Booth, and apparently a lot of teams are concerned about McDuffie's arm length. At the end of the day, we think they're going to make the smart choice and go Trent McDuffie. Maybe not the best scheme fit for the Eagles, considering they like to run a lot of man, but I think you just got to go get the better player. And it's not like McDuffie's bad in man. It's not like he's bad in man. Like, no, he's good in man. It's just he's a better coverage. Yeah, it's just not in press coverage. Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, I think they're gonna go get the guy who makes the most sense. So, Andrew Booth, please don't go over Trent McDuffie.
Yep. 19 here, Saints up again. So we were debating them taking a receiver, we were debating Garrett Wilson at 16 for the Saints because we said, they could try to get Evan Neal at 19, and then it's like, well, someone might jump them, and I think the Saints, the Chargers actually would take Evan Neal in that scenario, and then we said, you know what, the Saints, all we've been hearing is the Saints are desperate to get an offensive tackle, so we said, you know what, they're not going to screw around, they're going to take Evan Neal, but now here at 19, like. We don't think Treylon Burks, even though I love him, I think he's wide receiver 1. I don't think he's going to be taken that high. So what's another need they need? It is quarterback. And Desmond Ridder, I think, will be a first-round quarterback. And, they have Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton, but, I think the Saints could legitimately pull a trigger here at 19 and say, you know what, let's take Desmond Ridder. If Jameis is not the guy, which he hasn't really shown much in his career to say that he is, Andy Dalton obviously is not, let's just take Desmond Ridder. He's a very pro-ready quarterback. The Saints will love that. And it's a a back half of the first round pick, so it's not like you're investing too much into Desmond Ridder. But I think they're going to say, let's just try to find our next franchise quarterback and, not risk too much on him.
And I think Ridder goes somewhere. New Orleans might be the place that makes the most sense. I wouldn't be shocked if there's some random team here we're not expecting that would take him. Including potentially the next team that we're talking about. Wouldn't that be something if they traded back and took Ridder? The Giants at 20.
That'd be glorious.
They might not do that because they're trying to give Daniel Jones one more shot, but I do think second round is a very high possibility. They pick up a bunch of picks here, trading back. They need to make their roster better. They're picking here at 20. We know corner is something they're looking at very hard. We've heard the Andrew Booth Jr. We've probably known this for a while. Is probably higher on teams' boards than ours. So he's probably going to go somewhere in this range. I think if he doesn't go here, he probably goes next pick to New England. But the Giants needing a corner, probably cutting ties with James Bradbury. It just makes sense that they would invest in the guy that a lot of teams kind of have ranked at this spot.
Yeah. It's also, I just realized, it's second straight year Giants trade down to 20.
Yep.
And Kadarius Toney was the last one. That's not looking too great right now. So hopefully Andrew Booth Jr. will be better pick here. But yeah, second straight year they trade down. Trader Dave never traded down. A new regime. It's a new regime. They're new era in New York. They're trading down all the time. I love it.
Yeah, shout out Giants.
Trader Joe.
Next.
Another one.
Trader Joe.
Trader Joe. Trader Joe. That's a good one. So Patriots here at 21. I'm still pounding the table for the Kobe Dean, but unfortunately I got ruled out by these two. Thank you very much. So we decided to give them Devin Lloyd. Yeah, it's probably going to be the pick, but I'm still a believer in the Kobe Dean as linebacker 1, and I think he's a better fit for them. But I got ruled out, and it's not like I hate this pick. This is a good pick. You're getting value. I have Devin Lloyd as a top 15 player. Like, I think this is still a great pick, and they desperately need a linebacker. So go get your guy, even though I don't think it's the right guy, but still, you need a linebacker, and Devin Lloyd is still fantastic.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the linebacker 1. I'm actually just realized we don't have Kobe Dean here. That's kind of crazy.
No, we don't.
I could see him falling, though. I could see him falling. Teams could be concerned about his size. All right, 22 here, the Packers. This was tough. I was pounding the table for Treylon Burks here. I got overruled here. But I could see them also taking Trevor Penning and the Northern Iowa offensive tackle, who's a really, really good athlete. And we know that Green Bay covets that. They always covet that. They never take bad athletes. Like Mike Renner, who's a huge Packer fan, PFF lead draft analyst. He does great work. He says, like, he knows the Packers inside and out. He says they don't take older players, which ruled out Bernard Raymond for us here. They don't take smaller receivers, and they don't take bad athletes. Well, Trevor Penning is a great athlete, and I think he would be a guy that the Packers would consider. They need help on the offensive line. He could slot in there at right tackle, David Bakhtiari at left tackle. And, I don't hate him learning there and in Green Bay. I think he's, a high ceiling, low floor player. But in Green Bay, I think this is a place for him where he could actually work out and be a good tackle.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so Cardinals at 23. As you guys probably know, maybe not. I am a Cardinals fan, so yeah, you guys had no idea. I can't believe that. But so there's been a lot of reports about what we possibly could do. Like I mentioned earlier, there was a report that we could trade up for Jameson Williams because apparently, like, he's our. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure by the way they're talking about him, he might be like a top 2 player for them, which would be kind of absurd. But I mean, they love him, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they stay here at 23 because Treylon Burks fell right in their lap. It's reported that they love Williams, they love Burks, they love Karlaftis, and they really, really, really like Zion Johnson. And it sounds like if Burks isn't there, they'll take Zion, but Burks fell because I think Burks is going to fall in the draft. And at this point, I think Burks' ceiling is Green Bay. So I think the Cardinals are going to run in that card. Kyler Murray obviously was a little upset during the offseason. I think you get him another weapon, and I think he'll be happy. And just the combination of DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, Treylon Burks, AJ Green, who's not ideal, but he's still good. And then you brought in Zach Ertz for 3 more years and James Conner in the backfield, and maybe get another running back in the second or third round. Like, this offense can be terrifying, man.
Yeah, Treylon Burks is like a jumbo Rondale Moore, honestly.
I was about to say that's kind of goes with what they did last year at receiver, so it makes sense to me. I actually feel relatively confident that if he's there, this will be the pick. It's one of the few ones later on that I kind of think is right. This is actually one I also feel is very certain going to happen because I don't think any other team has this guy as a first-round pick, quite frankly. Dallas seems very locked in on Kenyon Green. All the reports are that this team is looking at receivers and guards. The players are Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, and Treylon Burks. Burks, of course, went the pick before. I actually think if Burks makes it that they'll take him, but I don't think he will. I think the 2 teams before him will take him. Jerry loves his Arkansas guys. But the Jerry Southwestern Classic that's always played in Jerry World is Arkansas, Texas A&M, and we've talked about how Jerry loves playing guys who played in the stadium. Well, Kenyon Green played in the stadium, and he's a guard, so it works out. I mean, he's fine. Kenyon Green, I have a solid mid-second round grade on. I'd be personally happy as a Panthers fan if Dallas spent their draft pick on Kenyon Green. I don't know. I think the rumor is they like Zion Johnson. I do think there is some like Southern SEC ties thing there that will make them lean towards Kenyon Green if it comes down to those two. And they would slot him in as the replacement for Connor Williams week 1.
Just the Jerry Jones theory. We said a lot in our live draft show last year. I hope you guys come up with some theories that I can't wait to hear on this year's live draft show. But CeeDee Lamb was taken by them. He obviously in the Big 12 championship game went off against Baylor. That was in Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium. And then last year, Micah Parsons had the best game I've ever seen any defender have last year. In last year's draft was against Memphis in the Cotton Bowl at AT&T Stadium.
And they also took in that draft 2 years ago, they took Trayvon Diggs and Neville Gallimore, the next 2 picks, who had also played.
Yeah, exactly. They have a type. Jerry honestly just brings out his notepad whenever there's a college game at AT&T Stadium. He's like, all right, that's who I'm taking, whoever the best player is. So yeah, can you agree? We got to check the PFF grades on how he played in the Arkansas game. But
they took Connor McGovern too, and that was the Cotton Bowl year as well. So he also played. Like I think that whole draft is just guys who played.
It is a real theory.
It's probably true. I mean, let's be real.
I mean, back-to-back first rounders now, where they're one of their best games of their careers were at AT&T Stadium.
Well,
so,
in this mock draft, back to back.
Yeah, and that's why I think Traylon Burks, because he went off against Arkansas or against Texas A&M, last year. All right, so who's up here? The Bills are up here at 25. Here we go. The Buffalo Bills are taking Breece Hall, running back out of Iowa State. And again, I want to re-emphasize, this is what we predict will happen. None of us want to touch this guy even close to the first round, but we're in our heads like, oh, Zion Johnson, Donnie a little bit, but Zion. We got. Nick,
I would give it a hard look and just kind of stare at it for a second and think about it.
Nick, we got to give him like an analytics crash course once the draft is over. Just like,
yes.
I like Breece Hall, man. I'm sorry, I like Breece Hall. I like him more than Williams, and I loved Williams.
This is not the word. You know what? Last year we were talking about them trading up for ETN. This doesn't even come close to that.
Yeah, come on.
They reportedly really wanted to trade up for Travis Etienne. They didn't end up doing it. They got Gregory Rousseau. This time, I think they really might take a running back in Breece Hall, and I think he could be the pick. And I could see them thinking, hey, we have all these talented players on offense and all these talented players on defense. Like, we really are a running back away, which when you're saying that, you're not a running back away. I could see the Bills actually thinking that, who are a very smart organization. I think they could actually take a running back here.
They're also a tied to Ron Rivera organization who has shown that he likes to spend high draft picks on running backs. So
yeah,
you know,
I think it'll happen.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna happen.
Not at all shocked. Titans are next. You know, they like Derrick Henry a lot. They're going to keep pounding it until he doesn't pound it anymore. So that offensive line has been a focus of theirs. Isaiah Wilson didn't really work out. Definitely didn't work out. Dylan Radins, we're still kind of waiting on. They think Nate Davis and Ben Jones are awesome. I just offended every single Titans fan watching this. But, you know, they're all right. The report is that they're kind of looking at the guards that we just mentioned, Green and Johnson. They're looking at Treylon Burks. They're looking at Sky Moore. They could be looking at a corner potentially. Zion Johnson's kind of the one guy, along with Sky Moore, who I actually think probably will end up going first round, but these guys didn't bite on that. Zion Johnson, we do believe that was in the first. And unfortunately, Tyler Linderbaum was not listed amongst those players in that report from Cameron Wolf because we just I don't know why we're not liking Tyler Linderbaum, but we'll take Zion Johnson here ahead of Linderbaum. And hope that it reinvigorates an already very good rushing attack.
Up next here, we have the Buccaneers. They don't need much, but they do have a couple holes. And I think after losing Ali Marpet to retirement, and then after losing, what's his name? It was Alex Kappa to the Bengals, or Alex Kappa, yep. After losing Alex Kappa to the Bengals, I think he got to improve that interior. Even though this guy is a center only, and they re-signed Ryan Jensen has guard versatility, I believe. So I think they're going to put him at guard, and then they're going to draft Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. I mean, the last time they drafted an Iowa offensive lineman, I'd say it worked out pretty well, drafting Tristan Wirfs, and I'm pretty sure Brady would be all in for it, and so would Tristan Wirfs. And obviously, we all think very highly of Tyler Linderbaum. We think he's probably going to immediately be one of the best centers in the league. So I think this is a slam dunk pick for the Bucs. And once again, Brady is protected. Go figure. Go figure.
Dude,
he can never have a bad offensive line. Never. Like, he just can't. No matter what, he just can't.
He's too old, man. You can't risk that. You can't risk those brittle bones.
No. It's not that he needs one, because clearly he does. It's like he's never in his career had a bad one. Never.
Yeah. GOAT. Still the GOAT. I know all you guys on TikTok hate saying he's the GOAT. He's actually the GOAT. I didn't even realize that. And honestly, like, you could say he's better than Tristan Wirfs because he beat him in wrestling in high school, and he threw a hay bale that was 60 pounds, 2 feet higher than Tristan Wirfs, which means better prospect.
That means he has to be better than Tristan Wirfs.
That means he has to be better than Tristan. Oh my God!
Yes, that is the only reason.
In Iowa
cancel
terms.
the tape. Cancel. Not even Iowa terms. Just cancel it all. He has to be better.
I work in social media at PFF. If Buccaneers social media, if anyone's watching this right now, we need a rematch of the wrestling if they draft Tyler Linderbaum I don't
Please,
know if
that'd be
coach,
so
I don't
cool.
know if coach will go for that, and because they can get injured, but I think that'll be an electric video. Okay, number 28 here, the Packers. So we didn't take a receiver. They have to take a receiver. I think this is the year without Devontae Adams. I feel like the Packers have refused to take another receiver because they've had this thinking that we've seen other people on Twitter, I'm not going to name names, have, where it's like, we have one already. We're good. It's like, no, you need more than one. Now they don't have one. Now they don't have Devontae Adams anymore. So now they're like, okay, maybe we will take one. So I think
Sammy Watkins.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they did take Samuel Watkins. They have Samuel Watkins now.
Hey, he's going to be the greatest wide receiver ever on week 1, okay?
He will.
Like he always is.
Sammy Watkins is a GOAT at week 1, dude. He's one of the top 10 players.
Just
in the
call
league.
him Jerry Rice, you know?
He
Just call
is.
him
He
Jerry
is.
Rice.
George Pickens, I think, will be the pick here. Because like I mentioned before, we didn't have Jahan Dotson yet in this mock draft, but Mike Renner says it all the time, like, they don't go for smaller receivers. And yeah, you could say Amari Rodgers, but that was like later in the draft. And it was a good value for them. Like, I think George Pickens, they needed an X receiver. That's who it will be in that offense. And I think that he would be the pick here at 28 for the Packers.
Yeah, like that one. 29. So I'm not going to lie. We kind of, with Linderbaum pick, we did that. And we kind of did it with this one as well. We're taking George Karlaftis with the Chiefs. Kind of just guys that we think are going to go in the first round, but we don't really know where. I have no idea really what the Chiefs are going to do. It could be a safety pick in here somewhere, something weird. They could go defense twice, and I wouldn't be shocked. But we're going to have them take George Karlaftis. I do think it's an edge pick at one of these spots. They have to. I think they saw what Melvin Ingram did for their defense, and they're going to try and recreate that. Karlaftis is just too good to fall out of the first round. He's got to go here somewhere. Reportedly the Cardinals really like him, but if Burks is there, they might not take him. So somebody's got to pull the trigger. I just think he's way too talented. He's had way too much production. He's got way too intriguing of athletic measurables for him to just not go in the first 32 picks. It's interesting because we don't have another edge going. Boya Mafe, another guy who I do think ends up going day one, and we could not find a spot for him. I just like to throw that out there. There's a lot of players in here that I'm kind of like, ooh, they might go, but I don't know. Back end, like these picks are harder to project, and I don't know where these guys really fit in.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Speaking of guys who should go round 1, the Chiefs should be taking Christian Watson here, but they'll be taking Jahan Dotson. Thank you, Max, and thank you, Nick. I've been saying this for a while. I think Watson to the Chiefs is the best scheme fit to team in the entire draft, and I don't really know if it's close, but I got ruled out once again, unfortunately, because these two don't know what they're talking about. No, I'm kidding. But no, Christian Watson probably won't go first round, and it breaks my heart because I think he really should. I think the ceiling's worth it, but there's been some reports that the Chiefs like Dotson. I think you got to go wide receiver. You just have to. You lost Tyreek Hill. I hate to break it to you, Juju and MBS are not here to solve the world's problems. You need more than that. So you go get Jahan Dotson, who personally I think he's slot only, but I think Andy Reid can figure out how to play him on the outside, and I think he can make it work. But once again, Christian Watson should be this pick, but he won't be.
If Nick Benito, if we couldn't fit Nick Benito in here, I'll be damned if we fit Christian Watson in this mock draft. I don't even know.
Christian Watson deserves to be a first round pick more than Nick Benito. I'm just
going.
Where's Devontae Price?
Next guy is Devontae Price, who's gonna be.
Where is Marquise Bell?
Where's Marquise Bell?
Marquise Bell.
There's a safety pick in here somewhere.
All right, 31 here, second to last penultimate pick here. The Bengals are taking a corner, and we're taking Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon, I think, actually could be the pick here. I think he could sneak in to the end of the first round. I believe his over-under is like 32.5 right now, and that kind of surprised me. And, we immediately were like, oh, Kyrie Elam. And then I was like looking at the Vegas odds, which we use a lot, obviously, because Vegas is changing their odds all the time. And Kyler Gordon actually had better odds. He had 32.5, and I believe that Elam was 34.5. So obviously teams think that, or Vegas believes that Kyler Gordon would be taken before Kyrie Elam. So Bengals here, I could see them going for, Kyler Gordon and put in that defense where they could use another corner.
They draft a lot of Washington players too. I wouldn't be shocked at all if that's the guy at 31. Speaking of Washington, the state, we're going to talk about a team from there in a second, but let's first talk about our Lions here at pick 32 because they have this pick from the Rams. We did a gun to the head scenario with our media informant, who shall remain unnamed as always, who believes that there are a lot of possibilities here, including Jalen Petrie, the safety, maybe Lewis Seen or Jaquan Brisker, if they don't take one. He said all of the, or maybe she said, all of the Georgia linebackers are in possibly picks here. We know Dean's on the board. Channing Tindall, Quay Walker, all of a sudden is a guy that people think is going to go in the first round. I don't see it, but all right. Receiver Dotson's gone. I think that was one of the players was named, but Christian Watson, they're also fans of. Those are the positions they're looking at. I think it's linebacker a little bit to a lesser extent if they've taken an edge, and more really safety and receiver they need to get out of 32 and 34. And if they trade out of this pick, 34 he thinks will be a safety, probably a Jalen Petrie or Lewis Cine at this point because Cine's on the board. But in this scenario, we have the Seattle Seahawks sending a second-round pick, their 40th overall, probably the earlier one, and a fourth-round pick. I think it might take a little more than that, but we'll just have that for now. To move from 40 to 32, to move up, get that fifth-year option, and select the quarterback that they've had their eyes on from the very beginning, Matthew Corral from Ole Miss, who I'm not unconvinced they might not just take at 9 because Pete Carroll is Pete Carroll, but I do think there were some rumors that we've seen about this, and I think it's very possible that they will be offering a trade to the Lions on draft night to make this happen. Donnie's upset because he loves Matt Corral, doesn't want to go against him as a
I don't want to root against him, man.
I'm upset because I think Seattle's going to ruin him, quite frankly, but, here we are.
It's a lose-lose no matter what, man, because if he fails, I'll be sad. If he's good, I'll be sad. It's
Get Sauce Gardner too. Oh, the Seahawks draft is hot. That's a hot draft. I love that. All right, that's what we got, guys. This is our final video before the 2022 NFL Draft, which is tomorrow. And Nick and Donnie will be your tour guides for the entire first round and day 2 of the NFL Draft. So make sure, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe, because you're going to want to stay tuned with these guys. They're going to have a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch. I'm going to try to sneak in watching you guys while I'm working. But I'm really excited for this NFL Draft. And it's going to be a chaotic draft, and, there's nothing that I feel confident. I agree with Donnie. There's no pick that I'm really confident. Even like first overall, like I can still see Hutchinson being the guy, or like Ikem Ekwonu being the guy at number 1. Like there really is no pick I feel confident, which is going to be chaotic, but also a lot of fun as well. So make sure you guys are tuned in for that. Final video. We appreciate you guys watching.
Yep.
For the 2022 NFL Draft, and we're gonna do more stuff afterwards. So it's not like we're done, but like. We're probably going to take a little bit of a break after we're done with that. And I don't know, we appreciate you guys staying tuned with us for all this time for over a year now, honestly.
Yeah, and I just want to say, and real quick, I just want to say, I want to thank both of these guys for bringing me on at the beginning. Obviously, I'm here to stay, but I've had so much fun ever since I've joined. I love the draft, and I've always wanted to do some type of draft podcast. So I'm glad I was here for ever since December. I'm glad that I've been here for the whole time.
We're glad to have you, Donnie. It's been great.
You're all right, Donnie. You're fine.
You're good.
That's what we got, though. It's our final video. So, again, thank you guys so much for staying tuned for all of this. It's draft time, baby. It is finally NFL draft time.
Let's do it.
Here we go. So, for Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons, I'm Max Chadwick. Happy Draft Eve. We'll see you tomorrow.